What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm talking about a topic that I'm afraid is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, or it's certainly not going to be the information that you want to read. If you are a female and you are looking to use performance-enhancing drugs, and you get on the internet, you will read a vast variety. There's tons of videos. I just got through watching a 2-year-old video that Vigorous Steve produced titled, I think it was it's titled Reasonably Safe Non-Virilizing PEDs for Women. Lowest effective dosages and short exposure duration. The big question in the bodybuilding world for women is what PEDs can I run without turning myself into a man? And after extensive study and research, and after extensive guinea pigging my wife, and after extensive critical thought, I have come to the conclusion that not only is this the stupidest fucking question you could possibly ask in life, the answer is there are none. There are no drugs that actually work that will actually put an appreciable amount of muscle on your body to where you or anyone else would ever even notice that you were fucking lifting. There are no drugs that will do this without virilization. It is fucking impossible, and it's an ignorant thing to really even attempt. And so, like, it's something that I've been attempting, my wife has been attempting, lots of women have been attempting for years and years, decades, God knows how long. This pursuit has been underway, and I think that the entire idiocy can be prevented from the beginning by just realizing one very basic truth. Androgens are not meant for women. In any way, shape, or form. Your bodies produce a very, very, very tiny amount of testosterone. And if you go to the gym very regularly and you eat amazing, you eat perfectly, you train your ass off, you do everything right, you will find out with the tiny amount of testosterone that your body produces naturally, you will basically make zero fucking progress. Like, the best you can hope to achieve as a woman in a bodybuilding context is that you can get very lean naturally. You will almost certainly will never see 6-pack abs or 4-pack abs, but you can get a nice toned kind of, bikini body for the beach, where you're like the skinny girl on the beach who has like a little definition to her arms. That is about the absolute fucking most you can hope for as a woman, unless you are some kind of genetic freak, okay? And the reason for that is that every single steroid on the planet, in any amount that you take that is significant enough to actually produce results, is going to virilize you in the same way that every single steroid that a man uses is going to cause him masculinizing side effects. This is another, there's this idea amongst men and women both that somehow we can fucking have our cake and eat it too. And I'm here to tell you that it is fucking impossible to do. It would be as dumb, women saying, like, what steroid can I run without changing my voice and growing my clitoris? That question is really honestly as stupid as me saying, what steroid could I run that won't grow any body hair, that won't take any hair off the top of my head, that won't cause any increase in cholesterol, that won't cause any benign prostate hypertrophy, that won't have any negative effects on my heart? There aren't any. There aren't any. If TRT dose of testosterone alone, even if I inject an amount of testosterone that is only going to keep me in the literal reference range. Not like I take 200 milligrams of Test-C per week for testosterone replacement. And that's not testosterone replacement. It's hormone optimization. My test levels stay super physiological the vast majority of the week. at 200 milligrams per week plus 500 IUs of HCG twice a week, okay? This gives me greater than 1,500 nanograms of testosterone in my system. So when I have a supraphysiological amount of testosterone in my male body, it's going to cause my estrogen level to go up above what it naturally is, which is why my testosterone replacement clinic prescribes every single male that goes on their program at least 1 milligram of Arimidex. So women asking what steroid can I use and not have virilizing side effects is as stupid as a man saying what steroid can I use that won't increase my estrogen level, that won't convert to DHT, and also won't totally shut down my natural production and break my dick. There aren't any. There aren't any. There are no steroids that will do that. Any man who injects testosterone into the supraphysiological or anything above his natural level, he's going to see a rise in DHT, he's going to see a rise in estrogen, he's going to see a rise in his natural testosterone levels, and those are going to come at the cost of side effects. That's 100% of men who only use testosterone. You're already going to get feminizing effects in the form of increased estrogen and masculinizing effects in the form of increased body hair growth or a reduction of head hair growth and various other changes. Okay, so if you want to use PEDs in any amount, then what we need to stop doing is playing this fucking bullshit game where we try to convince ourselves that what we're doing is somehow not harming us, and by harm I mean changing your body in an unnatural way. It is not normal for me to grow breast tissue and have to take 4 milligrams of Arimidex per week to offset this. It is not normal for a girl taking any amount of Anavar to be covered in acne or growing body hair or increasing the size of her clitoris. And that's what's going to happen on basically any amount of Anavar. So some people in the audience and Vigorous Steve are going to say, well, actually, Mike, you're not telling the truth. You could run 2.5 milligrams of Anavar for a very long time without virilization. And there may be some truth to that in some women, but it's not a blanket statement, number one. And number two, it's also not going to produce that much muscle. Like, yeah, it's going to produce some, but Vigorous Steve even admits in his own video that when he says 2.5 milligrams of Anavar, he's saying that you will see gains in like a year if you eat perfectly, diet perfectly, train perfectly, don't go out drinking with your girlfriends, don't do anything to slow down protein synthesis, don't have shitty sleep. Like if you put your body in ideal conditions and you take 2.5 milligrams of Anavar per day, then you can grow some amount of extra muscle that your body might not have produced on its own with very, very minimal side effects. So it sounds like there we have our answer, right? That's what you do. The problem is that, for one, the biggest reason that people get on steroids is because they want to gain muscle rapidly. You could apply the same dumb fuck-ass logic to a guy, and you could say, well, if a guy wants to have the minimal side effects possible, he should just get on TRT. You know, his natural testosterone level is probably somewhere between 600 to 800. He gets on 200 milligrams of TestC per week. He's going to have greater than 1,500 nanograms per deciliter a week. He's going to have a small amount of estrogen conversion, which we can knock out with a little aromatase inhibitor. Maybe he's lucky and he has none, or he just doesn't mind being a little bit bloated. And if he stays on this drug for years and years and years, he'll kind of look like he works out. And that's what's going to happen to a woman if she takes 2.5 milligrams of Anavar for years and years and years, is she's going to kind of look like she works out. She's going to have a very, very feminine, but slightly more muscular body. She's not going to be turning heads. Nobody's going to be really noticing unless she's otherwise just a fucking perfect 10 model. So if you've got an already perfectly beautiful, very sexy, very skinny, naturally beautiful woman, and you add 2.5 milligrams of Anavar to the mix, she's going to tone up, firm up, get a little cap to her shoulders, get a little definition to her arms. She's going to look a little bit better to some eyes than she already did. She might, at that dose over a long period of time, maybe possibly see a little bit of abs. Okay, but the second she stops taking that 2.5 milligrams of Anavar, or the second she starts fucking up in any way, drinking, partying, missing meals, not going to the gym, she's going to start losing every bit of that very tiny amount of muscle growth and gain that she made. And when her body goes back to being truly feminine, when the Anavars, it gets out of her system and it's not offsetting all of the things that estrogen and progesterone naturally do in her system, that little bit of definition she got in her arms, her triceps, and her shoulders is going to be replaced with body fat and body water, and her arms are going to go back to looking just like a skinny girl's arms do. She's going to basically lose all of her progress in a very, very short period of time. So a girl who's taking 2.5 milligrams of Anavar with the hopes of having zero virilization is really just borrowing a body. She's just renting a look for a little while and trying not to really pay too much of a cost for it. But even at that dose, depending upon how sensitive you are as a person, you still may end up with some degree of virilization. So you could end up renting a body for a year that kind of looks like you work out, after killing yourself in the gym for a year, finally decide, you know what, I can't take my body to the next level at this dose. I don't want any more virilization. It doesn't make any sense to continue running it. And so you quit, you lose everything that you had, and the entire fucking process becomes pointless. So if that's your goal, stay the fuck off of Anavar and probably just stay the fuck out of the gym. Like, you're just wasting your time. You're not accomplishing anything that you're actually going to be able to keep for any period of time. And this is like a girl in the perfect conditions who's already basically got a supermodel body, who already knows how to diet and train, and the Anavar is going to make things a little bit better. If you're already even remotely fat, if you already struggle in any way to be lean, if you're bigger than a size 2 or 4 naturally, just fucking don't even think about it. There's no point in adding Anavar to this fucking mix at 2.5 milligrams a day. You might lean up a little bit. You might look slightly fucking better over the long term, but again, it's going to be a very, very long game, and the second you quit, you're going to lose the entire aesthetic. So for the vast majority of us who do steroids, the reason that we do them is because we want to see rapid muscle growth. We want to see muscle growth well above baseline, well above what we could naturally produce on our frames, and in order to get that kind of muscle growth, you have to pay the cost. My back is covered in fucking back hair that I never wanted. It was one of my biggest fears, and it has gotten really bad because of years and years and years of blasting fucking steroids. That is a cost that is never going to go away unless I quit taking drugs, go get laser hair removal. The men experience increases in body hair, cholesterol problems, liver problems. There's all kinds of things that are going to happen inside the male body. Male pattern baldness, all of these things you're going to experience if you do steroids for any length of time. And you have to do the drugs in high enough doses that are high enough to cause side effects in order to get the exponential rapid growth that you're looking for. And then even still, you have to commit to this game long term. Jay Cutler's one of my favorite bodybuilders who ever lived. The guy was an absolute fucking monster. He's 50 years old now. He looks phenomenal at 50. But if you compare Jay Cutler's body today at 50 to what he looked like in his prime, when he was using a bunch of fucking gear, it's not even close. It's not even fucking close. Everybody who gets into this sport needs to realize you are taking a risk with your body, and you are you are coping with what are potentially lifelong side effects for this little window in time where you can look really freakish, or you can look really good, or you can get on a competitive stage and you can compete against other ladies or other men, or you can have a lifestyle that allows you to have the perpetual beach body. Whatever your goals are, you can attain those goals, but they come at a cost. And this idea that we can somehow get there and mitigate the side effects is a fucking fool's errand. There are no drugs that will get you there and mitigate the side effects. This is something that is very harshly learned by guys who have male pattern baldness. If you have male pattern baldness, you are going to lose your hair. Period. You're going to lose it whether you do steroids or not. If you do steroids, you're going to lose it very rapidly. There are no drugs that are going to get around this. You guys can waste your fucking time with all the dutasteride, the Propecia, and the Rogaine, and the fucking creams, and the DHT blockers. It's not going to work in the long term. You're eventually going to have to get hair plugs or transplants or something and hope to God that shit works. And it probably won't even work long term either. The reality is that our bodies are going to be the way they want to be. And when you try to fuck with it, when you try to tinker with it and you try to change it, there are side effects. So Vera Steve talks about all of these different chemicals in the beginning of his video, these non-virilizing agents that women can take. Yeah, my wife has a copper IED too. It's a non-hormonal form of birth control. It will fucking absolutely not help you build muscle. You can lower this and lower that. You can fuck with DHEA. DHEA in itself can cause mild amounts of virilization. It's going to cause almost no appreciable muscle mass gain. All of these things, all of these chemicals, a fucking testosterone joke that these guys are fucking hawking like fucking snake oil. All of this bullshit out there, ladies. SARMs are not going to save you. SARMs are not going to give you a fucking figure body at no cost with no virilization. It's all bullshit. There are so many pathways to virilization. And so when somebody tells you, well, hey, I've got this SARM and it's not androgenic, and so it won't turn you into a man. And then they fail to tell you that the SARM, one of the SARM's properties is that it crashes your SHBG level. Well, if you take a non-androgenic SARM that crashes your SHBG level, that's going to cause the natural testosterone that you're producing to not bind to 5-alpha reductase, which means you're going to have more free testosterone in your system, and then it's going to bind to 5-alpha reductase and turn into more testosterone. If you take a SARM, let me repeat that. If you take a SARM and you crush your SHBG level, you have more free testosterone to get converted into DHT, and the DHT will virilize you. If you suddenly have more DHT in your body than your body naturally produces, you will start experiencing virilizing effects. So somebody's going to lie to you and say, well, this particular compound has zero androgenicity to it. Okay, cool. But there are other pathways to androgenicity. And in this case, like with LGD and RAD140, I believe they both lower SHBG. I think they also are both virilizing to women. I think that's just a total lie. Nobody knows anything about these fucking chemicals. They keep trying to say that they're not virilizing. If you go on to Reddit or you just search female experience with RAD140 or LGD or all these, you'll read one horror story after another from women who took SARMs and fucked their voices up. And that could be from one of two things. Either A, SARMs are virilizing and everybody's lying about it, or B, the chances of you getting a pure SARM that don't have some amount of steroids in it is about fucking nil. So there's so many factors to this game. And the last thing that I want to say to kind of drive home this point is that my wife has used enough testosterone to actually have male levels of testosterone in her system. 660 nanograms per deciliter was her testosterone level when we fell into the trap of giving her 20 milligrams of testosterone a week, which was backed up by multiple different doctors and pieces and studies that I read about testosterone pellets, testosterone injections, how much to give a woman. We found, Dr. Rand talked about this, we found a number of people saying 20 milligrams a week was a safe dose for women for testosterone cypionate, and it turned her into a full-blown male level, she had a full-blown male hormone level, 660 nanograms per deciliter. We dropped it to 7. It was still out of control, in excess of 300. The lowest dose my wife has been able to run without massively virilizing side effects is 3 milligrams of testosterone a week, and that was still slowly virilizing her. It was still slowly affecting her voice. It was causing acne. It was causing clitoral changes, because you have to understand that just because you take a specific dose of a drug for 6 or 8 weeks and you don't turn into a man overnight does not mean that long term you're not going to turn into a man. Duration of exposure really matters. Any one of these drugs that you take long term will build up over time. And so I think when you see these people saying, well, I gave, like Vigorous Steve says, I've had clients that took 2.5 milligrams of Anavar a day for a year and they didn't have any virilization. It's like, how do you know that? What exact did you record her voice singing and see exactly what notes she could hit before you put her on the Anavar? Did you have some kind of special machine that counted the number of body hairs all over her body before you put her on the Anavar? Did you have some micrometer where you measured the size of her clitoris in a perfectly unadulterated state, and then a year later you counted all the body hairs and you had her sing the same song to check her vocal range, and you put the micrometer on her clit to make sure that there was no change at all? Because if there was any change at all, then she was virilizing. And so if you multiply that change out over 5 or 10 years, then you have full-blown virilization. So my girl is taking 20 milligrams of Primo per week right now. She's seeing massive strength gains in the gym, but she's got acne, she's got voice changes, she's got clitoral enlargement. And so there's no safe amount of any drug that you can take that will get you the results that you want. She's taking all of these drugs and getting these results and still having people comment on her videos on YouTube like, well, I don't know if your drugs are working. You don't even really seem to look that big. So here she is literally turning into a man while fucking idiots are telling her that she doesn't look like she's making any gains at all. And that's the fucking problem. Every one of you women who thinks you're gonna morph your fucking body overnight with steroids and not have any side effects, you're out of your fucking mind. Even on virilizing doses of steroids, the changes that are gonna be made in your body are gonna be very, very minimal. Very minimal. And the second you stop taking those drugs, in 3 or 6 or 9 months or maybe a year, no one is ever going to be able to tell that you did anything other than that now you sound like a fucking man. Now your voice is different. Now you're singing in the car with your daughter and she keeps accusing you of sounding like George Strait. That's what happened to my wife. My daughter told my wife she sounded like George Strait. Okay, so we need to shut down this fucking stupid ass idea that there are safe ways for women to do steroids. Look up any pro girl. Look up any of them. Look up any bikini model who's competing at any kind of level and listen to her voice. There's virilization going on there. 100% chance there is some amount of virilization. Her voice is not exactly what it used to be. Her clitoris is not exactly what it used to be. And these girls very likely will stop bodybuilding and within 5-10 years look like they never fucking did anything at all, because they're not going to be able to maintain these physiques for any length of time. So ladies, stop bullshitting yourselves. Men, stop bullshitting your wives and your girlfriends. You need to understand that the drugs that you are taking are going to cause lifetime effects for temporary results. That is the fucking game you are playing. For me, personally, it's worth it. I have zero regrets of building the body that I have, of having all of the pictures that I have, the experiences that I have. if I live to be 60 or 70 years old and I'm on TRT only, I can look back at the good old days, at the amazing physique that I built. It's been a tremendous amount of fun having these experiences with my wife. As I've said ad nauseum on my channel, I am a lifestyle bodybuilder. A lot of the drugs that I take are for reasons that have nothing to do with building muscle. And that's one of the traps that my wife fell in. One of the many reasons that she's tinkered with her hormones is to try to have a better day-to-day life as it pertains to periods, as it pertains to sex drive, as it pertains to energy levels. There are a lot of benefits that you can get well outside of the gym, well outside of the physical form that you carry with you, that steroids can produce. They can give you a much higher quality of life, but they all come at a cost. There are no free rides in this world. No matter what the fucking Democrats want to tell you, every handout you get is costing somebody somewhere. And every time you put any drug into the female body that fucks with the way your hormone levels work, I promise you, even if it's only on a micro level, your body is changing. And if you do it long enough, those changes will become apparent. They will likely be permanent. And you will likely be down the road at some point having not looking like having none of the physical effects of having taken the steroids and having all of the outward vocal, clitoral, hair growth, whatever. Those things will last a lifetime. Your physique is absolutely temporary. So please understand that before you let anybody convince you to go down this road. It is a one-way fucking ticket, period. I don't give a shit what anybody else tells me until somebody brings me a fucking case study where they took 10 women and they put them all through a range of vocal tests, and they used some kind of machine to count their hair follicles, and they used some kind of machine to measure their clitorises, and then they put them on 2.5 milligrams of fucking Anavar for a year, and then they repeated this study year after year after year to show me zero changes. I'm not going to fucking believe you. That is the kind of data that you need to be able to present to say that these drugs are safe and non-virilizing. And to Steve's credit, he says reasonably safe. That's the best you can hope for, is reasonably safe. But understand, the safer the drug, or the safer the amount of drug, the longer it is going to take for you to reach your goals, and the quicker the fucking results are going to disappear when you get off. So there you have it. I hate to bust anybody's bubble, but I'm not going to be the one that gets blamed when girls come to my channel and fuck their shit up. I'm telling you right here, right now, there are no safe drugs for women. Anything you put into your body can and will change you permanently, and that is a decision that you have to make for yourself and yourself alone. As always, thank you for watching this video. We'll see you on the next one.